An amateur journal, The Vagrant, takes notice of Lovecraft's talent and following, and his first story goes into print. This is Dagon. Dagon is written in 1919. It's a very atmospheric story. A captured sailor escapes from German sea raiders and comes aground in a putrid stretch of sea bottom forced up from a massive volcanic upheaval. The sailor explores the reef, discovers a monolith. This monolith displays a race of fishmen. Well, while he's looking at the monolith, a squid-like creature rises from the sea and embraces the monolith. Now, the sailor gets away. He returns to the world, but is never the same. He becomes demented and goes mad. He's deathly afraid that this creature, mini Cthulhu, is following him and wants to destroy him. Now, Dagon sets the Lovecraftian model. People discovering violations of natural law that are then driven into madness and or death. Lovecraft uses moody Baroque descriptions in Dagon and subjective adjectives with overripe and sometimes convoluted phraseology. It's a unique style, all his own. Now, Lovecraft's prose style is essentially Elizabethan in nature. Remember, he's reading all these old books from centuries past when he's growing up. And he's influenced by the King James Bible in his prose. Of course, there's also the influence of Poe. And as I mentioned, Macon and Dunsany. Dreamlands, Lost Races, Lost Gods. Lovecraft goes against his own anti-commercialism and hires out his skills as a ghostwriter from essentially 1919 to 1925. The writer as gentleman, not a professional. Well, he goes against this because, well, he needs the money. He becomes an invisible author that is published many times under a different name. It's a very prolific time for Lovecraft. He charges low rates, and he gets lots of work. And he continues to produce his own fiction at the same time. For example, The Tomb and The White Ship. These are conventional in their development, but they're highly original storytelling. All right, let's get to The Outsider, 1920, which is far more complex and features an ironic twist ending. The narrator proves himself to be an outsider when he leaves the depths of his castle, where he has been entombed, and finds himself in the ordinary world, wandering about the countryside. Well, he interrupts a party, a scene of revelry, and is astonished that people flee from him in horror. Finally, a mirror reveals to him his real aspect, that of a ghoulish figure of death. The story is similar to Poe's work, The Mask of the Red Death, if the Red Death was narrated by the Red Death himself. The Outsider is a proto-existentialist tale of alienation. Lovecraft uses himself, essentially a weirdo nobody likes. The story has an autobiographical subtext. Lovecraft is slowly emerging from his isolation, his self-imposed exile from the world. And neighbors, well, they don't like him and his mother. They view them as eccentrics. And they avoid him at all costs. Lovecraft is an outsider par excellence, and he infuses his own experience into the story. Now, Susan, Lovecraft's mother,